Alex,
I'm Cruz.
and this is Nostalgia Junkies, your raddest and hippest podcast for all things nostalgic 80s, 90s, 2000s, toys, video games, music, cartoons, you name it. We talk about it because we are crazy about the 80s and 90s
Yes, we are.
and 2000s.
A little bit. Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Little bit. So we are recording this on a Monday. It's Monday.
Yep.
And the Super Bowl just happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Chiefs, they got their butts handed to them. It happens. But one of my favorite parts of the Super Bowl are the commercials.
100%.
And I would love to sit here and say that we had some good commercials. There were like two.
Maybe. It was a rough showing for commercials this year.
It was not great. They weren't terrible, but there was none that really encapsulated that this is going to be the commercial from this year.
There's nothing that'll be stamped in time like, oh, iconic Super Bowl commercials. None make it.
Agreed. I think that any of the commercials that kind of had that it factor, unfortunately, there was another commercial that kind of took the same route.
Yeah, correct.
So,
Which was kind of weird.
Yeah. So like the Little Caesars Eugene Levy commercial where he gets the crazy bites and the eyebrows fly off, and it was cool. I'm like, oh, that was really creative, especially when they had the caterpillars going, "We're not worthy, we're not worthy." I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But then Pringles released a very similar commercial.
It was you know what? Thinking about the Pringle ones, it was okay. The ending when they're sitting on the couch.
Yeah,
he was like, I actually like this one.
Yeah, when Nick Offerman has James Harden's mustache.
And he's like, I actually like this one.
It was creative, but it was like
very similar. It was
idea.
Weird. It's weird.
And then we could say the same thing about the Doritos and the Totino's commercial.
Correct. With the aliens.
Yeah, they both had aliens.
Yeah.
And it was just the one thing that made the Totino's commercial real interesting was Chasmo.
Yeah.
And then you had the guys from Detroiters.
Correct.
But then Doritos had a very similar commercial.
Yeah, it's almost like, did they hire the same people to make their commercials? It was just weird. Very weird.
That's what I'm wondering, because it was too similar, and there were too many commercials that were too similar.
Yeah.
That, or are we just running out of ideas?
Or it was Kendrick Lamar making the commercials for everyone. They're hitting messages and all of it.
So that, I guess, knowing that there were commercials that were just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Looking back at the commercials from last night.
Okay.
What were your top 3 favorite commercials?
The Tostitos one. Actually, you reminded me of the Pringles. I think the ending was kind of funny. And then I would have to say the one where all the old mascots. What was that one?
The Instacart.
The Instacart one. Those are my top 3. I don't think there was any better than that.
I agree. So it's funny is both the Chasmo Totinos and the Instacart are in my top 3.
Okay.
I really liked the Mountain Dew Baja Blast commercial. I know you weren't a fan of it.
I hated that one.
But Seal as a seal, as bad as the CGI was
Dude,
hysterical to me.
The CGI was, man, it was horrible. Horrible. I think that was probably part of the commercial, right? Is making it as bad as possible to make it good.
So, like, the thing is, I understood Seal being in the commercial.
Yeah.
I understood getting the Becky G appeal in the commercial. What was up with Temu Jason Momoa?
I don't know.
Like, it was a very weird decision.
Yeah.
Like, did they have Jason Momoa and then he couldn't commit, so they just took in a stunt double? Like, it was weird, man.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, I think those were like my top favorite commercials. The only other one that I wouldn't say it was my favorite, but I did like that they kind of took a play on this, the Haagen-Dazs Fast and Furious commercial.
Oh, yeah. It was okay.
It was okay.
Then you had Ludacris pulling up. Yeah, it was all right.
I think there was so much more that they could have done with that commercial that it was very much like the baseline.
Yeah, I think it was better than last year's though. Last year's group of commercials kind of weird. There was a lot of religious stuff going on in the commercials last year.
There was, and this one was a lot about hate.
Yes, correct.
I will say I thought it was really funny. So Robert RFK didn't
Mhm.
have a commercial this year. I know that this commercial aired in our region because I know you and I talked about this off camera about how it seems that there's some Super Bowl commercials that air regionally.
Correct.
We had a local law office
Yes.
that aired a commercial during the Super Bowl and talked about it being her like entire year budget for commercials.
Yeah.
And so golf law offices, that was pretty kind of cool. I
Yeah.
thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I wonder what the cost is for doing a regional, like being able to get in a regional.
So I don't know what the regional cost is. I do know that the cost for a 30-second commercial,
8 million, right?
$8 million.
8 million. You know what the Angel Soft one?
That was funny.
It was, but like
You spent
$8
$8 million to
million
give
for
everybody
toilet
a potty
paper?
break.
Come on,
What
man.
8 million? It was an $8 million potty break.
It was. It was kind of crazy. Like
Like, oh,
every year you get those couple companies that you're like, really? You spent that much money to make a commercial?
but you know what? It served its purpose.
It
'Cause
did.
Here we are. We're talking
We're
about it.
talking, definitely talking about it.
And I got to tell you, everybody at work today, one of the commercials they brought up was the Angel Soft
Yeah,
commercial.
it was. I guess you know what. Which one was the weirdest commercial for you of last night?
The weirdest one, I'd say either like the Tom Brady Snoop Dogg hate
Yeah,
commercial
that's the one I was gonna say.
or the breast cancer awareness commercial.
Oh yeah, it was it was kind of not for you to laugh, but when they were showing
Just
at the
boobs after
boutique,
boobs after
no, but the
boobs.
boutique and they got the pump up bra, it
Yep.
was like, oh man,
It's almost like the intro to what the message was lasted a little too
too
long.
long. Correct.
But you know what? Again,
People are talking about
we're
it.
talking about it.
Yep.
And that's exactly what the purpose of that commercial is. There were good commercials last night,
Hmm.
but there have been some great commercials in the
Yes.
past.
Yes, they
And
have.
I pulled from a bunch of different lists and I cross analyzed them and I did all of my producer Alex vibes. And this is not my top 5. It's pretty close to my top
Yeah.
5. But this is what the top 5 from like Fox News, MSNBC, BuzzFeed, this is what they deemed were the top 5 commercials of all
All
time
time.
from the Super Bowl. And I agree with number 5. Number 5 deserves to be on this list.
Hmm.
The McDonald's challenge commercial with Larry Bird and Michael Jordan.
Yes.
That iconic commercial.
Come on, you have two of the goats, right? It's and McDonald's, which is a global freaking, yeah, it's a good commercial.
So if you're not familiar with the iconic McDonald's challenge commercial, basically all it is Larry Bird and Michael Jordan warming up, and Michael Jordan walks in with a bag of McDonald's, and Larry Bird's like, "Oh, I'll shoot you for him." Like, and they take random shots, and it starts off with free throws, layups, hook shots, and then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, I'll do it from the rafters. I'll do it from outside, off the wall, off
Yep.
the backboard, no rim." And it's a great commercial.
Yeah.
One of the things I think that they did well with that commercial, and there's not many companies that do it anymore, and I think it's because of the cost of commercials. There were multiple sections that aired throughout the Super Bowl in
Yes.
1993.
Yep.
So it's the first section was just them doing their regular shots.
Yeah.
And then the football game played, and then another McDonald's commercial played, and now it's them doing crazy shots inside the gym. And then another section aired, and it's crazy shots of them doing outside the
Yeah.
gym. And I thought that they did a really good job with that.
I think, well, back then, right? So commercials were cheaper. So to like do that now, it would get very expensive. 30-second spot at $8 million. If you took 2 to 3 commercials to
Mhm.
make the whole commercial,
But if you
starts
did,
racking up.
this is where I'm curious. So we know that a 30-second spot is $8 million.
Hmm.
Not every commercial last night was 30 seconds.
No, some were longer, some were shorter.
Some were longer, some were shorter.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, so if $8 million is 30 seconds, that means $12 million is 45. If we were to split it up into like a 20-minute or 20-second commercial and a 25-second commercial, would that still cost the same amount?
Mm,
Or is it like getting a bulk deal?
yeah,
So
be interesting.
if you run NFL, Fox, NBC, let us know because we're
Well,
curious. Because
Nostalgia Junkie is purchasing 30 seconds
yeah,
next year, so
we'll take out a 30-second commercial at Super Bowl 60. But the next commercial on the list,
yes.
again, I think is just the iconic.
It's I mean, if you do not know this commercial, you're not from this planet.
No, Budweiser frogs.
Yes.
Phenomenal commercial, 1995. Just three bullfrogs saying Budweiser.
Wiser.
Great commercial.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I,
there. Budweiser's had a lot of iconic
yeah.
ones, and I think this is definitely up there. I would argue that the Budweiser frogs is the most iconic.
Yes.
There-
Even more than their Clydesdale commercials.
Yes, because I think the Clydesdales are good, but there's not really a memorable Clydesdale commercial.
No.
The Clydesdales themselves are memorable,
Yes.
but the only like actual Clydesdale commercial
Yeah.
I can think of is the one where the dog is training that wants to be a Clydesdale.
Yeah, correct.
But how many times do we watch the Clydesdales train? Every other year?
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is like I was obviously in a group of friends watching the Super Bowl and they were like,
You have friends?
who no, I don't.
Oh.
Just,
You bribe these people to
My
be at your
Pet
house.
Monster was there and
Elf and
Elf.
E.T.
Yes.
Got you.
Yes.
Got you.
So
Gizmo.
we were talking and we were like, who the heck drinks Budweiser? Like seriously, like I don't know anyone that drinks Budweiser unless you're like in your 50s or 60s. You're not drinking Budweiser.
Or in high school,
No, I don't think young kids.
which I'm not condoning drinking
Yes,
underage.
yes, Mr. Teacher yourself. But yeah, it, I whatever that we're kind of leaving what we're supposed to. But yes, the frogs. Come on, if you, again, like I said, if you never heard it, you never seen the commercial, you're not from this planet.
So this leads us into the next commercial, which is number 3 on the list of most iconic or best commercials.
Yep.
And quite honestly, I would reverse this one with the Budweiser frogs. The Budweiser "Was Up" commercial.
Yes.
I think the aspect of the "Was Up"
Yeah.
is very iconic. For me, at least, I don't think it's iconic because of Budweiser.
Because of the movie.
It's because of Scary Movie.
Yes, 100%.
I think Scary Movie, taking that aspect of the commercial and just adding it to their parody,
Yeah.
I think that that's what makes that
Yeah.
Budweiser commercial iconic.
But it's, I mean, for months after the Super Bowl, when you called someone or you
What's up?
What's up?
Yeah. And again, like you were saying, like who's drinking Budweiser? Anyone that I know that drinks a Budweiser product, it's Bud Light.
Yeah, correct.
Nobody drinks
No
Budweiser.
Budweiser. No.
But again, like we've been saying all episode, we're talking about it.
Correct.
And granted, that is the point of this episode, is to talk about the commercials.
Yeah.
But I think like what we're saying is they made an iconic decision in that ad
Correct.
that has become a piece of pop culture that to this day, there are still people that say, "What's up?"
Yep.
Or you see bullfrogs and you go,
Budweiser.
Budweiser. So I think that they've done a really good job.
Yeah, that most definitely. Bud's on top of the list of making commercials.
So the next commercial on the list,
Okay.
number 2 overall most iconic commercial for the Super Bowl. And I think it definitely deserves to be in this top 5.
Okay.
Coca-Cola Mean Joe Greene,
Mm-hmm.
the Hey Kid commercial. I mean, listen, I was born in 1993. This commercial came out in 1980.
80. Yeah.
And
was born in
I know this
84.
commercial
Yeah.
more than most of the commercials that came out within
Correct.
the last 30 years.
Correct.
The Mean Joe Greene commercial is so iconic. He's not so mean. Like,
Yeah.
It is a phenomenal commercial. Coca-Cola did a great job with this one. I mean, what do you have to say about it?
It's a good commercial. It's one of those commercials where I wasn't born yet either, so I didn't get to
Live it.
live it like everyone else, but it's definitely like you said, it's their list. It's not our list,
Mhm.
but it's definitely an iconic commercial. When you see it, you know it, even if you didn't live it. So yeah, I gotta say it deserves to be in the top five. But
Okay.
yeah,
The most iconic commercial of all time.
yes.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with it being like it's not a comedic commercial,
No, it's definitely not.
but as an icon,
Mm-hmm.
this is this is
It's the
probably the
beginning.
most iconic trope for anything.
Correct.
The Apple 1984 commercial.
Yep.
So if you're not familiar with the Apple 1984 commercial, it stars a female Olympian. I wish I wrote down her name, but it
Mhm.
stars a female Olympian running into a very dystopian like room of people dressed in gray watching the TV,
Mhm.
and she throws a metal pole through the TV, and it's Apple busting the system. And they announced that Apple's Macintosh would be
Will be
releasing,
released. Yeah.
and they brought in director Ridley Scott
To
to
direct it.
direct this commercial.
Yeah. I mean, it's the beginning of where we are in society when you really think about it.
Mhm.
The home computer actually becoming a real thing.
I mean, everything from this podcast is run on Apple
Apple,
products.
exactly.
I mean, if
It's
this commercial didn't exist, neither would Nostalgia
yeah.
Junkie.
It just to think 21 31 years ago now, right?
Mhm.
31 years ago that no, 41 years ago.
41 years ago.
41 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Holy crap. 41 years ago that moment in time, that commercial would mean be so significant
Mhm.
to how life is nowadays. It's kind of crazy when you really think about it.
Well, not even that, but even just the way that that commercial was filmed.
Yeah, it was professionally like they took the top, one of the top of the top directors of the time to like film a 30-second commercial. It's
Like
kind of crazy.
that dystopian narrative
Yeah,
of like running in and throwing something
yeah,
through the TV would be done in so many other forms of media
correct,
and movies and books
correct,
after that. Like they created basically like Isaac Asimov's Three Rules of Robotics. Like they created that, but for dystopian technology.
correct.
And that's crazy that it came from an Apple commercial.
Yeah,
But so those were the top five from like BuzzFeed and
yep.
Fox. What's Cruise's top commercial of all time?
So I I was thinking about this pretty hard, and there's a ton, but for me, one of the most memorable ones, and it might not be everyone's funniest, but Energizer Bunny with Darth Vader. I think that is so hilarious that his lightsaber had like generic dollar store batteries in it, and he flings the lightsaber down on the ground. I think it's funny that Energizer Bunny commercials don't have more in like either the top 10 or top 20 because they historically have been really good at making commercials. But for me, that's one that sticks in my young little Cruise's head is that Energizer with Darth Vader. I think that was a really good one.
I think that they did a really good job in the 90s through early 2000s.
Yes.
I think since we've turned in 2000, it's been Duracell.
Yeah.
Because exactly what you just described with Darth Vader's lightsaber, we had a commercial for last night with Tom Brady,
Correct.
where Tom Brady was running on generic
Yeah.
dollar store batteries
Yeah.
and they swapped in the Duracell.
Yeah.
And they did that commercial so seamlessly that it just seemed like
Tom, are
NFL
you all
coverage.
right? Guys,
Yeah, got to pop in the Duracells.
yeah, it
And
was good.
it was good. No, the Energizer commercials were really
What's
good.
okay? So what's yours?
Oh, dude, for me, it's a newer one.
Okay,
I love the stupid commercials that make you talk. And I was talking about this one at work last week,
okay.
and I was happy to see the mascot return inside the Instacart commercial, the Puppy Monkey Baby.
Yeah,
Mainly
it
just because it was so out of pocket.
yeah,
It was such a stupid commercial,
it was, but
but again, it did its job and it
correct,
got us talking.
correct.
And I was surprised that a couple of my coworkers had no idea what Puppy Monkey Baby was.
Yeah,
And it was funny because today, after they brought Puppy Monkey Baby back in the
Yep.
Instacart commercial, a couple of them came and said, "I'm so glad you mentioned Puppy Monkey Baby last week because if you didn't say that when the Instacart commercial started, would have had no idea."
Wasn't there not to get off subject a little bit, but you remember the CGI baby commercial where the little baby was dancing all over the place? It was like the little baby. What company was that commercial for?
I don't
We
remember.
gotta
All I
please put it down on the
Yeah, in the
I don't
comments. If
yeah.
you remember the CGI Super Bowl baby commercial,
Yeah, where the baby was dancing all over the place. It was like weird commercial, but he was
yeah.
like the main character of the commercial.
All
I
I
don't
can think of
remember what brand.
is the E-Trader baby.
Yeah,
But
I
that
don't
I know that wasn't it, but that's all I
no.
can think of with the
Oh
baby.
man.
But what do you say we talk about Nintendo's new shift?
Yes, and it's not the Switch 2.